Well, good evening, all of us. I guess we don't have any outsiders, but that's one of the secrets of this retreat is you always have a good audience in the form of the other people who are at the retreat. And this is the fourth reading this week of the 21st year, of what is now called the Woodstock Mayapple Writers Retreat. And our first reader tonight is Patricia Harkins-Pierre. She teaches at the University of the Virgin Islands, and Nobel Prize winner Derek Walcott mentored her during her PhD program in creative writing. Patricia represented the US Virgin Islands in London at a week-long event linked to the 2012 Summer Olympics. Her collection, Prophets of Morning Light, includes poems she completed at the Mayapple Writers Retreat, and she's been coming for a long time and used to come across all those miles and oceans.
Yes.
But now is coming on Zoom, which I'm sure makes it easier for her and several other people who are actually on tonight.
That's true.
So with no further ado, we are recording, and Patricia, you're on.
Thank you, Judy. I appreciate that. I love coming to these events every summer that I can, especially now that there's Zoom, although I miss seeing you in person. So I'm working on a collection with my manuscript group, and my collection is a chapbook, not a big book, of poetry titled The Hearts of Hummingbirds, which I started working on last summer with my group then. And Patty was in my group, so she remembered some of the poems. And then we have others like Wendy who work with me at other times, so she knew some of them already too. This poem is called Dry Days, and I'm dedicating my book of poems, by the way, to my husband, who is here patiently listening and inspiring me as usual. Dry days. Flamboyant trees seem to be on fire. Scarlet blossoms flicker and twirl through searing breeze. Children stop playing, pant in mango tree shade. Their chins drip sweet juice and sweat. They daydream of sand, white clouds, and saltwater fish. A doe and two fawns cross the road, heads bowed. Tar sticks to their hooves. Lightning scorches sky, earth. No thunder, no rain. Sahara dust coats hummingbird wings. Iguanas drag through parched grass. Spiders curl up at noon, shrivel, die. Hibiscus flowers are tongues of flame. There's ashes like black butterflies. So you know it's really dry. And the second one is The Promise of Rain. In the dry heat of summer, I saw no deer, just Sahara dust, until last night suddenly thunder, the promise of rain. Driving home, I spotted them, 2 deer poised for flight. The half-grown fawn, eyes wide, nostrils flared, ears flat, lunged onto the road, almost smashed the front bumper of a truck with one headlight, zigzagged, nearly crashed my windshield. But tail flashing white, vanished into the trees. Only then the doe stepped forward, sides quivering. She leapt so high, I held my breath until she landed in tall grass and without a backward glance, melted into the new rain. We live by faith and not by sight. Third poem, Sunbath with Sasha, for all the people who love cats like I do. Sasha sits on the windowsill, a white cloud, a silk pillow. Her tongue, a pink washcloth, moist and warm, rasps across the back of my hand. Clean and content, we doze in the tropical sun. Fourth poem, let me find the page here, is called Red Kite, White Clouds. And it developed from some exercises I did with students and from some dreams my husband sometimes has about flying home to the island of Dominica. Red kite, white clouds. Red kite, white clouds. We laugh, run, chase blue breezes, kiss. No storm warnings now. Our hearts open like delicate flowers. We hope for sunlight, soft rain. beautiful mountains, cascading waterfalls. We close our eyes, fly home. 365 green, sparkling rivers welcome us. And the last one, The Hearts of Hummingbirds, the title poem for the collection. And I actually ended up having two versions of this in the manuscript by mistake. And the one I worked so hard to revise is the one we didn't choose. Just the original one. It was funny. The Hearts of Hummingbirds. Cobwebs and twigs, two perfect eggs. A small, still mother rests. Don't shout or curse. Whisper soft as rain. Sugar, not salt, attracts the hearts of hummingbirds, and we who also love the early light. A tender breeze, new leaves, lovely mornings, clear as glass, green trees. She doesn't stir. Her fragile wings are closed. She sleeps. And that's it. Thank you very much. I've forgotten who's next. Is it you, Wendy? I can't remember. Thank you.
That's all you're going to read? No.
Yeah, that's 5 points for someone who's battling cough and stuff. I think I did real well. Thank you.
I think
If
you
you
did
do longer
beautiful.
to read, Wendy, you can read longer, and Patty can read longer, and I can enjoy. I'm fine.
Take care of yourself.
I chose the.
Who else is in the room with your name? Is that Glenn or who?
I have no idea. Oh, it's probably my friend. Let's see if she's
The
there.
camera is not on, so I have no idea who it
I
is.
think her name is, I think it's Marianne. Marianne, I don't know if that's you. I don't. Yeah, there she
Okay.
is. That's Marianne. Hi, Marianne.
You
Okay,
want me
so
to put your name in there properly?
Marianne, we can put Marianne's name there since she's not Patricia.
Mary Ann, is it 2 words?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us, Marianne.
Do you want me to introduce you, Penny? I mean, Wendy?
You can, sure.
Okay, I've got these bios up here. Wendy Taylor Carlisle lives, let me say that right. Wendy Taylor Carlisle lives and writes in the Arkansas Ozarks. She's the author of 4 books and 5 chapbooks, and is the 2020 winner of the Philip H. McMath Post-Publication Award for the Mercy of Traffic. Last June, Doubleback Books reprinted her 2008 book, Discount Fireworks, as a free download. I don't know if this is your last year. Last year it must be. Bell Point Press reissued her first book, Reading Berriman to the Dog, and a chapbook-length selection of her work appeared in Wild Muse, Ozarks Nature Poetry from Corner Post Press. Wendy.
Thank you. That was a lot. That was a mouthful. Both of those books, the Corner Post Press, came out this year, and the one from Bell Point are 2023. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. Well, I have a slightly longer reading, but I'm going to start out. Some feminists here will recognize this. This is Second Wave. Here we are, the girls who bonded, reading our bodies ourselves, who checked our vaginas in hand mirrors and were surprised, who were taught by our mothers to be wary of girlfriends, our enemies in the war for men and territory, taught that desire was his privilege and that joy was impossible without a man's embrace. Now, on the other side of hormones, we see our mothers lied like presidents. And I don't want anyone to talk to me about old age. I do not, about the losses of growing older. This is called Looking for It. There's so much I can't remember. Names and facts have a parlous impermanence in my brain. When I mislaid the blue sweater I got at J. Jill on sale for 60% off, the loss demolished me. Who secures something so perfect, then releases it? I stomped around for days in my friend's apartment saying, what a fool I am, and it must be somewhere. but it was gone, like my sex appeal. And why shouldn't my mind be misplaced like that? I'm sure I was evil as Palpatine, although I don't remember why, and maybe I never knew. Enmeshed as I was in my princess in distress myth and trying to make something tender of the best bits of my life. Eventually, my friend found the sweater under a cushion in his sofa, but nothing brings back the name. Oh, what was it? Of that crazy, sexy, drunk Lithuanian poet. And on the fairy tale train here, Briar Rose. It happened more than once in that time between birth control pills and AIDS. It happened over and over, although it's a struggle to remember any of them. Those exquisite boys with their hands in the briars, the young ones with knives, the serious ones in ties, the princes in Levi's, all of them bringing their several and various gifts of flesh, their heat and beauty, their praise, from their castle to yours, the frightened ones carrying lack under their tongues like a lead penny, the empty ones come to fill you up with lies, the witchy ones, their wooing like the 13th fairy's curse, all of them crowding the hedge around your heart with their shears, their crazy desire, and you cursed to sleep a spell while you waited for something you had been promised was love. I have a penchant for animals that work. I like working dogs, and I like the turkey buzzards that live in our trees. I think I need to explain that turkey buzzards, when they are in the air, are called a kettle. When they are feeding, they're called a wake, and when they're on the ground, they're called a committee. Turkey buzzards. They're like gods in the trees, the vultures. We call them turkey buzzards, although they are neither. They would be regal if they weren't so ugly. Or maybe they are ugly and regal, like the Habsburgs, whose family name comes from High German for hawk castle, but hawks are hunters, and our vultures are weak-footed scavengers. You see how I did that? Gathered up the vultures into our family, acknowledging that they are, in the air, our flying kettle, the local cleanup crew, for confused tourists mistaking armadillos for garbage on the road, unable to dodge the doe leaping out from the verge, for hunters who abandon what's left of a carcass in the scrub. Dogs first, then vultures at the bones. Our uglies who come back to roost in the pasture oaks, resting like that. They are properly called a committee, but when they feed like vengeful deities, the vultures are known as a wake. And this is one that's going to go in the book. I'm not sure how the family's going to feel about it. My husband has 7 siblings. There were 8 of them in the family, and everybody, although old and are all alive, except my sister-in-law, who just died. And this is a poem for Carol. Hoots. Sister dies, and we are called to grieve and foster, driving down through the South into Dash County to Hoots Barbecue, where we overhear the story about the sex addict coming home from treatment in California. And Mary Lou, yes, that Mary Lou, says she wants to meet him, but it turns out not to be true. Not a sex addict, that is. So Mary Lou is all disappointed. And we speed past the Dizzy Dean rest area in Wiggins, driving hard through a 12-hour day to come to rest late where she lived in Mississippi. And everyone is gathered, all the uncles, all the brothers, everybody coming from all over, New York to Arkansas, and everybody old and shot and wondering who's next, because sister was first, and you can't help but wonder. Next day, the Baptist preacher preached a laid-back 45, which is restrained for a Baptist preacher, and the food was church lady and fried chicken delish, and we headed out again by way of a late dinner at Hoots, where we overheard another conversation about a local lady who didn't get hired at Walmart as a greeter because the customers couldn't get past her big mouth chatter and into the store. And after that, we drove straight home and didn't talk again about the trip. And this is a poem that I wrote for my mentor and friend, Philip Dacey, a fine poet who taught me a lot about the life of a poet. I would complain and he would tell me to buck up. This is April. When I think of you, it comes back how I barely noticed the hike from the Met to the west side across a marginally friendly park in a spring fizz, and ignored the schizophrenic guy from 109th Street downtown for a change, who hailed me, then followed me crooning, ginger hair, until I crossed the tarmac and reached you on 72nd. But I forgot until now how dead everything is in the Museum of Natural History. So this is after great loss. And we have lost, American poetry has lost some people that I dearly miss. After great loss, I have become the mistress of the unlit, black dress formal, sad as a two-car funeral. What shall I do in all this somber dark, but dance and dance and dance in my hallelujah shoes? And then I missed one. Well, you'll never miss it. I'm going to read back to back a poem about divorce and a poem about love. This is divorce. Oh, I have to tell you, before my husband was a physician, he was a scientist, and so we get all these science magazines. So in one of them, there's a team of chemists, I guess, who figured out how to unboil a boiled egg. They got it back to its natural egg state. And I just couldn't resist. How can you resist that? Divorce. When pressed in the rooms of AA to name my higher power, I say physics. Sure that if I drop an egg, it will fall like a feather. But now that a team of chemists can unboil eggs, I know physics to be as reversible as love, which I thought was irreversible 3 times. When an egg boils, its proteins twist around one another as lovers twist before they unravel. But they do unravel, because if you reverse all parts of a system with fights and silence and sulk, the twisted will unravel. The boiled become raw again. Eggs, as part of our physical world, remember what they were, as I reclaimed myself after each dissolution, understood sobriety after each slip, knowing the physical can run both ways, knowing it's one of the higher powers of physics. And then, good, you just came in time for your poem, David. You all are probably old enough to remember, we used to do this as kids. You'd put a penny on the train track. When the train ran over it and flattened it, you'd keep the penny for luck. So this is that. This is another one of my Ozark sonnets. For luck, an Ozark sonnet. There is no new weather here, so close to the well of being, wasp in the lampstand, tick in the beard, moon visible day and evening. But I'm grateful for tulips coming back, grateful for muck boots, for folks who fix things, for the hummingbirds' full feeders, for dead carpenter ants, for peppers and hoes and summer tomatoes. Above all, I'm grateful for walking the train tracks with 2 new pennies, you and me, looking for luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's the dog's name who is serenading us at the very end?
It was probably Chivos,
Yeah.
who is our resident guardian. That's what the puppy's growing up to be, is the next generation resident guardian.
Oh,
Well, our last reader for this year, and it's not the last year, we'll do it again, is Patricia McMillen. She's a community activist, musician, and clown in becoming. I didn't know that. I used to do that. An Illinois native, she briefly practiced commercial law in Chicago, but threw that over in 1992 for the practices of banjo playing, poetry, and home renovation. Her first full-length poetry collection, Running Wild, is expected from Finishing Line Press in 2024. Yay.
Hey,
thank you. Well, this has been another great evening. Hope I don't spoil it. Thank you so much, Judy, for putting this together, and special thanks to Patricia and Wendy. It's been a great week for me, and I hope for both of you. I've learned not only a lot about putting a manuscript together, but I've revised a bunch of poems and really enjoyed having them read by such great readers. So thanks. And these are poems that are kind of in the order that I think they will be in the manuscript, but it will probably, and the manuscript, by the way, is called What Menopause is Like. So it's kind of a, well, you'll see. Okay, the first poem is called Paris 2002, and it has a term pelouse autorisée, which is basically authorized lawn in French. It's a place where you can sit on the grass. Paris 2002. Near the Luxembourg Gardens, where couples sit in neat rows on the pelouse autorisée, we sit on a bench, dropping coins into the plastic cup held by a boy whose parents play Strangers in the Night, mom on clarinet, dad on rhythm egg. You ask me whether I miss my ex-husband. You say you don't miss your late wife, you only miss being young. And I say, what do you mean? Aren't we still young? We visit Karnak, that carnival of cairns, rocks frolicking in lines across the landscape. We eat artisanal crepes, artisanal lavender ice cream, French fries rolled in newspaper with mayonnaise. We pee in co-ed toilets, watch birds in poplars, watch a man trying to throw a paper plate like a frisbee. We are one with the world, and I'm sorry I came here with you, because after this, I'll only have to give it up and go back to my real life, my dying father, my dead dog, the bleeding Chicago heat, the hot flashes of perimenopause. We take a taxi past the place where Diana was killed. From the news photos, we expected a long white tunnel, but it's a short underpass with white pillars. We wonder if Diana was wearing a seatbelt. We think it's lucky her bodyguards struck dumb, because what is there to say? This one's called Love in the Suburbs. I'm not sure I like it here. Where are the cab stands, the blinking hazard lights, the panting, overheated dogs tied to parking meters outside the post office? Instead, these fucking trees everywhere, leaves blocking the street signs, perfectly trimmed lawns, green, green, green wherever I look. I'm already tired of it, of children in miniature overalls, and the air's too clean, it's gotta be hiding something. Cops telling me to have a nice day. Is that an order or just a suggestion? Yet, isn't there always a choice between bad and worse? Chemo or fear of recurrence? Wearing glasses or going cross-eyed? Getting married or being lonely? One bird sounds like a cell phone ringing, one like an engine starting up, one like a boyfriend's whistle, or the laugh, ha ha, of the cartoon bully boy. Then one bird like a Vivaldi flute solo. Hurry, hurry, the exquisite tuning, always hitting the precise note it intends. Meltdown. In a restaurant vestibule, a small screaming vision in pink tulle. Who doesn't sometimes feel this way? Indifference of lace curtains, one too many chocolate Easter eggs, an even smaller brother watching wide-eyed in striped bow tie. Infatuation with widower. He says before we met he was a basket case. I pictured twig, rattan, bent willow branch. You don't really understand parenting, he says, and I know it's probably true, but I answer, maybe it's you who doesn't understand non-parenting, which is so much harder. The false bravado and impotence, the cursing God with fingers crossed behind my back. But he says his bravado is falser, his impotence as hard as mine. Okay, then I say, what kind of basket? A silver one, he says, like a stolen shopping cart. Mozart in the coffee house. This is some orchestra. The conductor's taking a break, the trumpeter's emptying his spit valve, the second violin plays the same fragment of melody over and over until everyone wants to scream, and the damn timpanist keeps pounding, rattling the cymbals in triangle like a mad one-woman espresso machine. She says she's tuning up. It's impossible to think inside this racket, and when Maestro returns, it may be nothing will change. Still, I wait at my harpsichord that after half a century's practice and with 2 keyboards guiding 3 sets of quills, sounds like tuneless scratching, even with the lid open. I actually didn't notice until I was putting things together, but there are a lot of musical allusions here. This next one has an allusion to the Ring Cycle, which is the series of Wagner's operas, and which I have never heard as a cycle. Sharing the city with the novel coronavirus. At first, we move more slowly, as though balancing goldfish in bowls on our heads. Drivers at intersections wait for the slowest walker, the mom pushing a stroller, trailed by bigger kids on bikes with training wheels. Everyone jaywalks, hugging packages as though they were the warm, breathing people whose touch we fear most. For a while, it seems a return to kinder times, though we know there has to be a catch. A canceled ring cycle, a shortage of adoptable dogs, doormen who will never return. One day we'll relearn rudeness, but for now, grandpas pitch wiffle balls and grandmas catch paper masks covering their noses as they hug small batters, even while tagging them out. Next one is called Evening. Later, as night falls, the gulls reach a frenzy of calling and circling over the darkening bay, calling and circling and calling over the last bright flash of light on water, on white wingtips and tail feathers, circling and calling as light fails over water. The dull gulls circle, and I stand at the kitchen sink, washing and listening, and you, my husband, stand at the dark window, growing ever more distant. So that's kind of, then I think this is going to be probably a second part. This next poem is a found poem from the NBC Nightly News on February 6th of this year. It's all quotes from people who were interviewed on the news. Kind of crazy for a small town like this, says a clean-shaven white man. And then a woman cuts in, says, police car came up and said, evacuate, evacuate, evacuate now, get out, close quote. 50 train cars derailed near East Palestine. You think it was West Bank the way they're carrying on, spilling thousands of pounds of vinyl chloride used to make PVC pipes, car upholstery, and carrying a cancer risk, according to the CDC. You are in imminent danger, says a man with a neatly trimmed white beard. The safest way is to control the situation, says another man in a fireman's suit with yellow reflective stripes. Columbiana County vehicles shine in the drone footage, lights flashing like falling stars, sirens singing, "O hail thou happy land, home of the brave and free." I love America as a husband loves his wife. That is why when she disobeys me, even by mistake, I patiently correct her. I load my arms with zip ties, pick up her flag, and push my way into her outer chamber, forcing others aside to get to her first. When I'm inside her, a friend snaps a picture, me with my boots up on her desk. I know I'm scaring her, but I also know that it's my duty to teach her right from wrong. The louder she screams, the harder I beat her with my fists, my voice, my flagpole. I rifle her desk, photograph the love letters she's written to other men, men with dark skin and filthy ambitions. I am not ashamed. I believe that I was born to die a violent death defending her. So far, I have been disappointed. It hurts me to hurt her. Okay, the bad part's over. Then one day, the light returns. The trees green out, young people smile from across the street, and somehow you know they're smiling, not laughing at you. This time you put your hand out and it doesn't come back empty. You've learned something. It may be so cool that you still need a jacket. You'll find one in the front closet, clean enough to wear. Your parents remain dead, and your brother isn't coming back to watch his kids grow up, so you watch out for them. Nothing's as hard as it looks. Your brain isn't broken. Street signs make sense, like the way they did when you were a kid. You're ready to dance. You can vote on whether that should be the last poem. I think I like this next one as the last poem, though, for the book. But everybody else liked the other one. So in a way, I'm transgressing everything that I've just taught in the last week. Sorry. Sorry, Wendy. Sorry, Patricia. All right, this is the last poem I will read, though. Life is a crooked path full of bumps and potholes, pitfalls and hairpin turns, a road that will appear straight only to others later after you've died, and they stand around the casket discussing the way in which you completed or didn't your mission that was clear to them from the moment you were born, though you've questioned it roughly every 10 minutes. Maybe one day you rolled your car after hitting black ice, an impact so big that once you regained consciousness, those same people told you, God meant you for something important. That's why you're still here. Maybe you believed this. But as I see it, if all you've done from there is recover enough to go back to being temporarily similar to the person you were before, which was likely quite an effort in itself, you've done fine. It's like riding a saddle bronc or a bull. Staying on the beast for 8 seconds is enough for you to be remembered with respect by anyone who will later claim to have known you well, even if you lose your hat. Thank you. Thanks.
Well, that is it. I will say again, if anybody, in addition to the 3 guys who are staying at, Leslie and his 2 house guests, want to get together on Zoom tomorrow, if it's only one group, you can just do it. But if it's going to be more than one, I have to put you in a breakout room. So I'll need to know. But otherwise, I hope I'll see you next year. We're definitely going to do it again.
Thanks for all
Yeah.
you do. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. We appreciate you, Judy. I appreciate my manuscript group. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Thanks for
Thank
the
you.
help on Hoots.
I'll be here.
Hoots is better now.
Hoots is a great poem. I love Hoots.
Thank you all for all you did.
Thank you for
All you
coming.
read.
Thank
You
you for
guys
coming.
came.
Oh, Judy, what's the YouTube
I will send everybody the link.
link?
It's
Okay,
a
thank you.
Mayapple Press channel. At the moment, the only thing that is up, and it should be up and live, is the Tuesday reading, because I did that yesterday. But I will do Monday and I will do Wednesday and tonight. It
There you
takes a
go.
long time to render.
Oh,
So it isn't
Sure.
really much work to edit, but you have to sit there and watch the computer turning it into a video again.
Right. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank
Okay,
you
good night,
all.
everybody.
Without
well,
you, there would be
everyone.
nothing.
bye.
Good
Good
night,
health.
all.
Good poems. Night.